Putin's tactics in Ukraine and Johnson's tactics for Brexit. Compare and contrast. My name's Mike Cashman. There are more videos like this on the channel. Britannia Waives the Rules. Please subscribe if you like what you hear. There'll be plenty of people who don't like what they hear, particularly with that title. Some will respond just to the title. But let me make a few points about that. I did say compare and contrast. Two things can be similar without being exactly the same. The damage from a storm wave has some similarities to the damage from a tsunami, but they are not the same thing. Secondly, I did say compare the tactics. I didn't say compare Johnson and Putin. But there are things that we can draw from this. Putin's tactics in Ukraine regarding his own people involved deception. It's fairly clear from a number of sources and from his public statements that he described Ukraine as being run by neo-Nazis, as undertaking genocide against the Russian-speaking population. He sent his military into Ukraine and they were expecting to be welcomed by the populace there, and discovered that what was happening, what they encountered, was very different to that. Now, if you seek to deceive people, then fundamentally you're not a believer in democracy. And I hear many people saying, well, I didn't think Putin was a believer in democracy anyway. But let's take Johnson and Brexit. If you seek to deceive people about a vote, then you are not a true believer in democracy. Clearly, Putin did not have a valid incursion into Ukraine that he could describe to his military, because if he had, then he would have described it. Equally, Johnson did not have a valid Brexit, a beneficial Brexit that he could define to the populace, because if he did, he would have described that rather than lying about what he was leading us into. And if you lie to the populace in advance of a vote, then, as I say, you're not a believer in democracy, because what you're doing is you're saying, I have decided better than you the way that you should vote. And I will not give you the true reasons for that, but I'll come up with some ones which are not the case. 350 million a week for the NHS and the continued membership of the single market in the Brexit that was being proposed. But all of that, you know, we now know, because 2 years on, we have this 100-page document, The Benefits of Brexit, and I've done a much longer video in which I've gone into it. But the point is that if 2 years on, you produce this rubbish, this collection of cut and paste, of waffle, of things that aren't benefits, of things that aren't defined, of vague possibilities, then we know that you don't have real benefits there. You wouldn't write 100 pages of nonsense if you actually had some good stuff to deliver. So we know that the Brexit that Johnson led us towards was nonsense. Now, he may be scratching around now, trying to find some benefits for it. David Frost, we know, attempted to appoint a director of Brexit opportunities, didn't even manage to appoint one. Jacob Rees-Mogg has now been given the dead-end job of Minister for Brexit Opportunities, which he may think is a great opportunity, but he'll rapidly find out, just like the Brexit opportunities, that there is very little opportunity there. If you're scratching around for the benefits of something 2 years after you've done it, then I do refer you to what I've said before. It's more customary to identify why you're doing something before you start, rather than after you've cocked it up. And Johnson, in leading the country, in the significant role that he did play, in leading the country towards Brexit, was the enemy of democracy, because he was saying, rather than describe where we're actually going, I'll describe something else, which is not where we're going, in order to persuade you to vote that way, as indeed did many Russian Twitter accounts joining in and supporting the messages. Now, who knows what would have happened if we hadn't had Brexit, if we hadn't been distracting the European Union and taking their time attempting to negotiate a settlement which Britain, the British government, didn't understand what it wanted, as evidenced by the parliamentary confusion after Theresa May came up with her first deal. If we hadn't been distracting the European Union over the last few years, who knows what progress might have been made with the accession of Ukraine to the EU and a very different path. Now, I'm certainly not attempting to prove that, I'm just speculating there, but wouldn't it have been better if the energies of Europe had been concentrated on positive outcomes. As somebody said recently, yeah, the Ukraine, of course, are very keen to join the European Union. Who wouldn't want to be in such a progressive, forward-looking, cooperative organisation? I will add one little footnote, actually. I'm accused sometimes of declaring that all Brexit voters are... ... you fill in that. I don't believe that I've ever said all Brexit voters are any particular thing at all. I've referred to those who claim that they were not misled, and I've come to some conclusions from that, but I've never said anything about all Brexit voters. I don't believe. By all means, try and hunt through my videos and see if I have, but I don't intend to. So, those are my thoughts on comparing the tactics of Johnson and Putin. But what do you think? Please add your thoughts in the comments. I'm Mike Cashman. The channel is Britannia Waves the Rules. Please subscribe if you like what you hear. And if you hate it, I'm sure you'll let me know that as well.